The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Diego Castro, bringing you the biggest headlines from around the world. Israel and Palestinian militant group Hamas are set to initiate a 4-day truce, marking the first agreement in the nearly 7-week conflict. Aside from the temporary ceasefire, the two sides also agreed to free 50 women and children taken hostage by Hamas. This is in return for 150 Palestinian women and teenagers in Israeli detention. Mediators in Qatar announced that there will be an initial release of 13 hostages to begin at 4 p.m. in their local time. Qatar is also hoping to negotiate a subsequent agreement to release additional hostages from Gaza by the 4th day of the truce. Both sides, however, have said they will go back to fighting once the truce is over.
The lists have been handed to both sides, and finally, in a communication just now, the list has been handed to the Israeli intelligence service, the Mossad, in order to facilitate the implementation of the deal. We are hoping that momentum will carry, and that we would find this would open the door for further and more deep negotiations towards an end to this violence.
The director of Gaza's main hospital, Al-Shifa, has been detained for questioning. The Israeli military said Dr. Mohammed Abu Salamiyah had been in charge of the sprawling complex, as Hamas militants built up a network of military infrastructure and stored weapons inside the hospital and its grounds. As of Thursday, the military said Abu Salamiyah was still being questioned, but he is not under indictment. Hamas issued a statement condemning the arrests of the doctors, who it said are helping facilitate the evacuation of patients. Clashes between riot police and protesters erupt after 5 people were injured in a stabbing incident in Dublin, Ireland. Anti-immigrant protesters arrived at the scene shortly after the attack. They set alight a police car and a double-decker bus and smashed windows of a nearby hotel and fast food restaurant. Police say they had not ruled out any motive in the stabbing just yet, including whether it could be terror-related. Among the victims was a 5-year-old girl who sustained serious injuries. A man in his late 40s is also being treated for serious injuries, has been arrested by police who say they are not looking for other suspects. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on the One News. You're still watching One News Now World. I'm Diego Castro. Business heir Daniel Noboa has been sworn in as Ecuador's new president, pledging to reduce violence and create more jobs. Noboa won an October runoff in the South American country, which is facing deep economic challenges that have pushed thousands to migrate. This has also spiked violence that reached an unprecedented crescendo with the murder of presidential candidate Fernando Villavicencio. Noboa will serve as president for just 17 months, finishing predecessor Guillermo Laso's term. Analysts admit that it will be hard for Noboa to effectively tackle Ecuador's significant challenges during his truncated term. But they noted that he can still run for re-election in 2025. Some voters in the Netherlands and Argentina turned to protest results of recently concluded polls in their countries. Dutch protesters rallied against the win of far-right populist Geert Wilders, who previously called to ban mosques and the Quran in the Netherlands. Wilders and his party won 37 of 150 seats in the Dutch parliament. The results caused upset for Muslims and members of the LGBT community. Demonstrators rallied, with some wearing rainbow flags and flying Palestinian flags. Meanwhile, Argentines took to the streets of Buenos Aires to raise concern at the policies of far-right libertarian president-elect Javier Milei. Critics accused him of downplaying atrocities in the brutal dictatorship from 1976 to 1983. The president-elect is also against abortion, but favors looser gun laws. Milei also vowed to privatize state-controlled companies, including the media. Let's now take a quick look at other world stories we're watching. The World Health Organization says no unusual or novel pathogens have been detected amid an increase in respiratory illnesses in China. It instead suggests a link to eased COVID-19 restrictions and known viruses. Authorities in New Delhi retain measures under an action plan to contain the toxic air pollution until the city's air quality improves. IQ Air says Delhi's air quality index is in the hazardous category. And Venice will start testing a daily admission fee and cap on visitor access to its famous canals from April next year. Travelers will have to book their visit online and pay around $5. And those are the top world headlines of the hour. Join us again at 9:45 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News, all sides, all the time.